Okay, good afternoon. We are going to study a new poem, Good Friday, 1613, Riding Westward. I think this is a religious poem, and it is different from other poems we have done so far. So, we're going to read the poem line by line. Okay, Good Friday, 1613. What is Good Friday? It's a special day set aside to remember the day Jesus Christ was executed, and he died and he rose again, right? So, Good Friday. Riding westward, let man's soul be a sphere, let man's soul be a sphere. And then in this, the intelligence that moves, devotion is. Okay, here, let man's soul be a sphere. Is what is it? Is a metaphor? Man's soul. Becomes a metaphor, becomes a soul, right? Let man's soul be a sphere. And then in this, devotion is. And then devotion is in this. Man's soul is a sphere, and then devotion is in this. So, and also soul's intelligence, devotion. Three different concepts. What are they? If you go down to the footnote, you'll see. Sphere was thought to have a guiding intelligence, sphere. Devotion should be the guiding principle, a form of man's soul. So, sphere is what? Guiding intelligence. Intelligence, sphere, devotion, right? Guiding principle. Devotion should be the guiding principle or form of man's soul. So, intelligence and devotion kind of same thing, almost same thing, right? Sphere, human body, right? You, right? So let's go back to the beginning. Let man's soul be sphere. Let man's soul be sphere. And then devotion is in this, right? In this, devotion is. And then the intelligence that moves, right? Let man's soul be a sphere, and then it becomes what? The intelligence that moves. Right? So this is finished. This is finished line, and they are connected. These lines are connected with end. What does it mean? A new sentence begins, right? And as is a connector, conjunction, right? As the other spheres, this phrase must follow. Is followed by a noun, right? As these spheres, where is the verb? By being grown, subject to foreign motions, as the other spheres lose their own. What the poet is talking about? The interactions between planets, right? One planet is affected by another planet, and other planets, right? Do you understand that? It's amazing, right? John Donne understood the movement of the planets, right? According to the face of the moon, what happens? The seawater level changes, right? We are, and actually. When it's full moon, killings, murder, tends to take place more, much more, right? We got excited by the full moon, right? So we are under the influence of the moon. So as the other spheres, by being grown, subject to foreign motions. Foreign motions? What does it mean? The motions of other planets. Foreign motions, right? There's a footnote here. Footnote 2. Footnote here. Let's see. Oops. Footnote 2. Namely, other spheres, right? Other spheres. Other spheres. As the other spheres, by being grown subject to foreign motions, other spheres lose their own, because it is influenced by, under the influence of other planets. It is not itself. It is a different being, right? No. Lose their own, and being what? Being, there must be a verb here, hurried. Being hurried by others. Being hurried by other planets. Right? We Koreans what? We Koreans tend to be what? Tend to pay attention to others. When you fall, what happens? You stand up and look around. Right? Westerners, when they fall, they do not look around. They look at themselves. They watch what their needs and things like that. But we pay attention to other people, right? You are worried about other people's thinking, thoughts, right? Anyway, being hurried by others every day, right? Scarcely in a year, their natural form obey. Okay. Their natural form obey. Obey is what here? What kind of verb is it? Transitive, intransitive, what? Obey here is what? Transitive? Intransitive? Is followed by nothing or anything? Obey. Their natural form obey, right? Their natural form of the planet. Their natural form obey. Why? Their natural form obey. What does it mean? Their form naturally obeys something, right? You tend to do something naturally. You have the natural intention to do something. Their natural form obey what? I think this is a transitive verb, and the object is pleasure or business. Even though there is a comma here, right? There's a comma here, right? But obey. This verb has an object, pleasure or business. Pleasure or what does it mean? Generally, people tend to obey the principle of pleasure or business instead of what? Devotion to God. Right? So, so our soul admits for their first mover. Usually admit to what? Is a transitive or intransitive verb. Admit of something. But here, the preposition admit their first mover, and our souls admit for their first mover. So admit is what? Intransitive verb, right? Our souls admit for their first mover. What is first mover? Principle or business? Principle or business, right? Mover. Our souls are whirled by it. Maybe first mover, pleasure or business. Footnote 3. Okay, let's go to the footnote 3. Footnote 3. Our souls are moved to influence not by devotion to God, but by the spheres of pleasure of business. By the spheres of pleasure or business. Amazing, right? Donne understood it. Donne understood Freud. Right? Sigmund Freud, the pleasure principle, right? Or business, right? Everything controls what? Something controls our life all the time. We are under the influence of it. What is it? In the capitalist society, our society, what is the most important thing? You marry for it. What is it? Money, material, right? And what is interesting is there was a recent experiment. There are two people. People A, person A, person B, and to person A, you give a lot of money, billions of money, and person B, you give nothing. What happens? Person A becomes prestigious and generous, a very important person. Person B becomes meager. Strange. So, Marx counts. Marx. Do you know Marx? Marxism. Marxism counts. It matters. So, material controls our life. And also, spiritual things control our life. Both are right? So, you can neglect neither, right? You can neglect neither, I guess. And I think John Donne understood it. Great, right? So, our souls are moved or influenced not by devotion to God, but by the spheres of pleasure or business. So, John Donne predicted what? There will be no religion, right? If you go to the States and go to church, in church on Sunday, there is service going on. All of the churchgoers were what? Are what? Old people. There are no young people, right? So, our souls are moved, influenced not by devotion to God, but by the spheres of pleasure or business. Okay. Back to the line. Scarce in a year, their natural form obey, pleasure or business, so our souls admit for the first mover, and our souls are whirled by it. Our souls are whirled by it. The verb is wonderful. Our souls are whirled by it. Whirl, right? You put an egg in a bowl and whirl it, becomes a liquid, whirl. Your soul in it, like an egg, you become, it is whirled. Your soul is whirled, right? Whirled by it. Hands, therefore, it is that I'm carried towards the west. Therefore, I'm carried toward the west this day, right, Friday, Good Friday, this day, today, when my soul's form bends toward the east. So, I'm craving for the soul, my body craving for pleasure, business. Right? I'm torn apart. I'm pulling apart, right? So, this expression is wonderful, right? Hands, it is that I am carried toward the west this day when my soul's form bends toward the east. Right? There I should see a sun. There I should see a sun by rising. Because what? Now, the speaker is one of the planets. Of course, his soul. It's like his soul is compared. Is an analogy, right? It's compared to the planet moving about. The sun is set, right? So this day, today, when there I should see a sun. Interesting, a sun. A sun? There's only one sun, right? At the time, in his time, there was only sun, right? No more sun. But today, we know that there are many, many suns. John Donne must understood that. I don't know. A sun, right? I see a sun by rising, because the sun is set, was set, and by that setting, endless day begat, endless day, okay. This is a verb, and the object is what? I should see a sun beget endless day. I see something do something, right? Right? I see a sun, verb is here, beget endless day. What? By that setting, by rising. But that Christ, on that cross, Christ was executed, right? So the Christ is on the tree, right, hanging, right? And that Christ on that cross did rise and fall, fall, died, rise, live again, right? So you can say fall and rise, right? Usually the expression is rise and fall. It's circular, life and death, be born and die, right? So, okay, the next line. Sin, okay, sin had eternally benighted all. Here, benighted is a what? What kind of part is it? Verb, adjective, what? Benighted is adjective. Adjective. So, sin had eternally, sin had all benighted. Right? Sin make everything benighted. Sin made everything dark, right? So, sin had eternally benighted all. Sin had all eternally benighted. Yet, there I almost be glad to see, glad I do not see that speckle of too much weight for me. There, I almost dare be glad. Could I be happy or glad that, right? So, there I almost be glad I do not see that speckle of too much weight for me. Right? If you can too much pressure on you, you'll be white. Well, you can't stand it. Right? You must suffer and eventually die, right? It's fortunate that you cannot see the weight, so much weight, right? So, yet there I almost be glad I do not see that speckle of too much weight for me. Who sees God's face must die. Here, who is what? It's subject. Sees and must die verb. The principle is what? The rule of the correct English is what? If there are two subjects, you must have two verbs. Here, two verbs, one subject. So who means what? Whoever, right? Whoever sees God's face, who sees God's face must die. And that is self-life. God's face, which is self-life. Can you understand? Very strange. Okay, let's go to the Bible. Bible says this, footnote 4. Footnote 4. Thou canst not see my face. If you see what? If you see my face, you'll die. You die. Have you seen a God's face? Thou canst not see my face, because there shall no man see me and live. Exodus, right? So, This is what the line says. Yeah. Who sees God's face, that is self-life must die. What a death it were it then to see God die. What a death it were is subjunctive, right? So, what does it mean? Nobody would see me die, right? So, what a death were it then to see God die. What does it mean? God never dies, right? What a death were it? It would be a death. What a death it would be. What a death were it then to see God die. It made his own lieutenant nature shrink. It made his own lieutenant. Lieutenant is a what? Substitute, right? So, made his own lieutenant nature a positive, right? It made its own lieutenant nature shrink. It made its own lieutenant nature shrink. It made its footstool crack. Footstool support, foot support, right? It made its footstool crack, and the wings and the sun wink. Footnote 5. Oops. The earth is God's footstool, Isaiah. An earthquake and an eclipse attended Christ's crucifixion. Okay. Could I behold those hands which span the pole? Could I? Could I behold those hands which span the poles, and tunes all spheres at once, pierced with those holes? What is he talking about? The work of God, the work of God, right? Right. That the miraculous things God do, right? Could I behold those hands which span the poles? What does it mean? You can't see the hand. So invisible hand, right? Right. Could I behold those hands which span the poles, and tune all spheres at once, pierced with those holes? Tunes, right? Footnote. There is another footnote. This is 6 footnote 6. Okay, footnote 6. Give motion and music to tune. Tune means give motion. Music, tune, right? And tunes all spheres at once, pierced with those holes. Could I behold that endless height which is Janus to us, or our antipode, the opposite, right? Janus, the opposite of Janus, right? You can't see it, right? Footnote 7. Janus, the point in the sky directly overhead. Highest point or state. Antipodes, those who dwell on the opposite side of the globe, exact opposite, right? So, humbled below us, or that blood which is the seat of all our souls, if not of his, make dirt of dust, or that flesh which was worn by God, for his apparel, ragged or torn. If on these things I durst not look, durst I... okay. Upon his miserable mother cast mine eye, who is God's partner here, and furnished thus half of the sacrifice which ransomed us. Which ransom? Ransom? Free. Free is a verb. Freed us. Though these things, as I write, be from mine eye, they are present yet unto my memory. 4, that looks towards them. Thou looks towards me. Thou, addressing God, right? Addressing God, right? O Savior, as thou hangest upon the tree. He is addressing the Christ executed, right? I turn my back to thee. What does it mean? Betrayed. We betrayed him. We betrayed God, right? So he is repentant, right? O Savior, as thou hangest upon the tree, I turn my back to thee, but to receive corrections. Only to receive corrections. Okay, teach me, right? Corrections. If I'm wrong, right? Till thy mercies bid thee leave. Bid thee leave. Leave means stop, all right? Thy mercies bid thee leave. Or, oh, think me worth thine anger. Think me worth thine anger and punish me. If you're angry with me, if you're mad with me, punish me, right? I'll suffer, I'll get it. Born of my rust and my deformity. Born of my rust and my deformity. Beautiful, right? If you put it, if you an iron, you put in the fire, you burn and you become new, right? You become rusty, right? Rust, and then so burn of my rust and my deformity. So amazing. This line is what? The key idea of Yeats's famous poem. What is it? Sailing to Byzantium. Sailing to Byzantium, right? Born of my rust and my deformity. Restore thine images so much by thy grace, that thou mayst know me, I will turn my face toward you. So it's a wonderful religious poem, right? It's different from the love poem. Is very different from the poems we have read. Okay? Do you like this poem? Now you can understand it? It's very dense and very, it's a poem full of meaning, but the context is what? The lines are very complicated. But each line is not unmusical, right? Each line is very musical, right? So this is a very good poem, I think. Okay, this also, can you recall what T.S. Eliot said, right? Very sinewy structure, form, right? Very strong, dense form with music in it, right? But some of the poems, great poets, focus on music only, right? So rather than paying attention to the contents in it, they pay music, they sacrifice meaning in it for the purpose of, for the sole purpose of music, musicality in the poem. But in this poem, both music and content are closely knit, right? Closely. So this is a very good poem. Okay, we'll take a 5 minutes break. Thank you.